Let me take you to the Kasoa story, but I'll come back to the population matter. So Calvis Tete has this report of a troubling incident that occurred over the break.
The shooting incident occurred around 5 p.m. in front of the Millennium City District Police Command after military men in a Toyota RAV4 vehicle were shot at by a chief at Millennium City over disputed land. Citi News sources say the 3 military men visited the disputed land in question after indications that there were some individuals who had encroached on the land, resulting in an altercation. An eyewitness, Winibo Indego, narrates that the brother to one of the military men bought the land in question from some chiefs but was being disturbed by land guards. The military men drove to the area to find a lasting solution to the matter, having initially reported the matter to the District Police Command. But while on their way, they were met by the Jasehini of Millennium City, Ben Lord Abebio, who tried to stop them from further reporting the matter and fired at the rear windscreen of the vehicle, killing the military man in the driver's seat. The military high command and personnel from the police headquarters have visited the area and have begun investigations. The chief, Ben Lord Abebio, is in police custody at the National Police Headquarters, assisting in investigations.
And woman transcend casting beer on the oil and so okay. Some more young Jumadia, yeah, police station, and most of the police station there, corner of 15 there, and women in Adeco. And to me, as one more corner, Ben Lord, a baho. The Ben Lord bedroom where I was say, I'm a cramigina, baby, and was oh, wound there go woo. So my catcher said, we may what dear. Not all down the boys are no mobile and make guys I know which now say, or more me. To move for plastic chairs and make bench be an issue or move promise up a free site and so set as a Nangas and original commander in some but I don't say or might be assembly radical into police need be crowd why the dance say so just new brains and besides a region the quine or him no much and to what two can o Pierre free more or region now and I've been Lord no a quagina can a bone to which they can't only see what money now money and to make one the real more bromino. Not me drive, but the police will be probably Jinam, no can men time cool, and yes, investigations are my ye, and make idea as in natural say, or Mokuma Brantian.
Just behind me is the vehicle that the military officers who were shot at were sitting in. This vehicle, according to Citi News sources, was attacked by the individual who shot the military officer, leading to his death. Crime scene officials from the Ghana Police Service are here to investigate the crime.
So that was quite disturbing, and 2010, we want 2020. So there's a problem with the story, so many issues. The issue of just crime, right? This is raw crime, obviously attached to land, and there's also the issue of land guardism, and then the involvement of police and military in land disputes. The presence of firearms in our communities as well. So it's quite troubling. I want to come to the issue from a point of land ownership versus land management.
Right.
You know, I think that's the one fault line we're seeing.
True.
Land ownership, and this goes to the heart of our development problems.
True.
Those who own the land are not really the people who manage the land, because they own to sell for money. True. And then the management is by this thing we've created, whether it's district, municipal, or whatever, local government, national government. That's one tension that we're seeing. All right, and it's coming to a head because people are prepared to kill for land. And the government doesn't seem to know what to do. We've had land administrating project, we've had all kinds of projects, but we don't seem to be getting to the bottom of the matter. So I'll deal with this issue from a very interesting way. A troubling story from Kasoa, military man shot over land. We're discussing the what have we been discussing? I don't know. All the problems with land, population
crime,
growth,
population.
You know, it's funny. Monday my discussion was on 2020 and 25, which both are in Katamanso. And you can see how large populations influence issues like population growth, traffic. So the two big traffic enclaves in Accra are all linked to population growth as well. Lack of infrastructure to support the populations. And then with its concomitant inconveniences, then now you have the Kasoa issue as well. Here are some quick comments. 054-998-66996. Let's hear from you.
All right, this one says Ghana North is Ofankor.
Thank you. So that's trouble.
Favor in Nanya says, please, I think it's Ghana West municipality and the growth is going to be massive after the completion of the Ofankor to Insawam Road.
The answer is, if we had not taken out, so this you would have been correct in 2017, because in 2017 Ghana West and Ghana North were the same, but they carved it out, which is why now Ghana North is about 200 and something, Ghana West is 300,000. So if we hadn't separated the two, you would have been correct to say it was Ghana West.
Okay, this one says the answer is Kasoa, Benson, Safe Bond.
You are so wrong.
You're wrong as I was.
You are so wrong.
This one's the fastest growing municipality is Dodoa. Okay.
Again, Dodoa is used generically to include Oyibi, Apollonia,
all these places,
and those things. So again, it's not Dodoa.
All right, this one says, I'm not surprised about Bon Katamanso. The area stretches from Bon by the sea behind Tema.
Yes.
It goes all the way to Oyibi. Administratively, it's a nightmare.
I need to speak to somebody about this.
Imagine being asked in Oyibi to go to Bon for a small document.
Charlie.
Meanwhile, when it comes to collecting revenue, they accept the money at Oyibi. It's a nightmare belonging to Bon Katamanso.
Where I live, I wasn't sure whether it was Bon or Adenta. You know, when you drive from the Maijo to Nanakrom down, and you get to this church, Macarius Church, and you go straight. Now it appears that road, the left side is Adenta and the right is Bon Katamanso. Somebody living opposite your house is in a different municipality, and somebody living on the other side is in Adenta. So sometimes when we are asked where to go for documents, we don't know. When it comes to voting, you can technically vote in Adenta. So if they put a polling station at Lakeside Police Station, or Lakeside Committee 8, you are in Adenta. If they put the polling station just opposite the road, it's just crazy. You know, it doesn't make sense. Nathan, read a few more comments.
All right, this one says, you forgot to mention the Wutu Senya district, Wutu Senya West. This one says, Amasaman is the municipal head of Ghana West.
Yes, thank you,
This
Salam.
one says, okay, we've gone through this already.
That's from
Emil in Oyibi. This one says, Kole Klote is no longer under Accra Metro.
Thank you.
It's a municipality on its own.
Thank you.
Elon from Amanfro is asking, so does it mean Bon Katamanso is not part of Ashaiman?
It's not. Bon Katamanso is bigger than Ashaiman.
Bigger than Ashaiman,
All right. This one says, let me take you through Amasaman villages or towns. From Amasaman, you go through Abehinasi to 3 Junction.
Thank you.
If you go right, you go through Achiaman, Doblogono, Kwashi Kumaman, Ademan, Onyansana, and Yahuman.
Save this message for me. I need
Yahuman. Yeah, you just turn to Okushibiade to Akramaman, where you have one of the E blocks to Ayikai Doblo, to Obeyeye, back to 3 Junction and to Amasaman.
Yeah.
That's from Reverend Ni Adu Okain.
I would like to talk to Reverend if we can put him on the line. Let me talk to Fred. Who am I talking to? Help me. My head is blanking. So call this new guy from. I like him.
The Reverend.
What's his name? David Annan. Yes, David Annan is. David Annan has been. I don't know whether he's been MP before or whether he's run the place before. David, Mr. Annan, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you been MC for Bon Katamanso before? Just to be clear.
Thank you very much. Bernard, I was a Metropolitan Chief Executive for Tema, which included the present Bon Katamanso, Tema Metropolis, Tema West, Adenta, and Ashaman. So the one I administered is now 5 different jurisdictions.
What year was this? What years?
From the year 2005 to 9.
And your jurisdiction was Tema. So at the time, Tema MC was in charge of Adenta, Bon Katamanso as we know it,
Yes.
Ashaman, Tema West as we know it.
Yes.
That is amazing. That must have been an administrative nightmare.
Well, your guess is as good as mine. It was quite difficult, but God so good, we managed it.
So is the current arrangement better? From the places you used to manage, Now we have Tema proper. We have Bonkatamanso, which is a municipality. We have Ashaiman municipality. And then we have, I don't know where else. Is it a better arrangement we have now? The way that it's been split into like 4 or 5?
Yes. The splitting became more like a legal thing that was put in place. But the way it was done, I have my misgivings about it. Santel could have been part of Tema West or Adentan, because it's quite far. Now, if you look at the jurisdiction of Tema West, Ajekojo, which is on one side of Ashama, is in Tema West. And you drive through from Punkatamanso, you drive through Ashama and Ajekojo, Ashama, one municipality, through Ajekojo, another municipality, Tema West, before you get to Santor. And therefore, it would have been better to add it to Tema West. Now, another approach could also have been that because Ashama has no space for expansion, and therefore Ajekojo and Santor could have been added to Ashama, and in fact, out of Katamanso, so that area will have some space for expansion of Ashama. Because Ashaman, even with the population and everything, government facilities, there are no spaces for development of government facilities. We see where the Ashama has just that one big central hospital, and the location of it is so tight. They have no space for any expansion. And therefore, the present arrangement, I think, is not the best. It could have been better if we have put these places rightly, like Ajekojo and Santor to be part of Ashama. Then there is space.
Because as we speak, Ajekojo and Santor are part of Bonkatamanso. No, Ajekojo is part of Tema West, and then Santor is part of Bonkatamanso.
That's correct.
Meanwhile, they are neighbors. Ajekojo and Santor. And by the way, last week we had a call from somebody who said when the Doomsaw occurs, because the roads are so bad, they have a lot of armed robberies at Ajekojo. So I'm sure you are familiar with the development in that area. My substantive question to you, are you surprised that Bonkatamanso has the largest population? In fact, when I was checking the numbers, I had to look at it twice. Apart from Kumasi Metro, which has about 5 sub-metros, Bonkatamanso is the largest municipality in Ghana with 417,000. And it's the fastest grown if you compare to 2010. Did that number surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because of my knowledge of the area. In fact, Bonkatamanso area, the traditional area, the area under the Traditional Council never had land problems. And therefore, it was easy for people to migrate from other places and come in because they have land without much litigation. And therefore, it meant that there was a flow from Tema, in particular, and part of Accra, into that area. Now, the area after Katamanso, from Kubekro, the Kubekro area and the Santor area, became areas where people could also flow in, but those areas had some few land litigation problems in the beginning. They were not like it is now. But because, all the area is under Katamanso, that's why it became very attractive for people to flow in. If you look at the demography carefully, you realize that the bulk of the population moved to the area called Bechile and Bediaku area. Heavily populated, Sebrepo, and then Saki. The flow was towards those areas because there were not much land litigation in the beginning. So people moved very much from the cities into those areas. And therefore, I'm not very surprised with what I see now. However, there has not been adequate expansion of especially road infrastructure. But that's for another conversation, another day, because the movement of the people have not been matched very much with the land spatial planning.
Could it be because of the shape of the constituency? Oh, sorry, I interchange constituency with district, but I suspect Ponkatamanso constituency is coterminous with Ponkatamanso municipality. All the municipality is bigger than the constituency.
No. The whole the municipality is the whole coverage of the constituency.
Oh, so it's the same. There's no because I'm seeing Zenu, Bechile, Apollonia, Oyebi, Santor, Don Township itself, Committee 25, Committee 22, Kubekro. No, are they all part of the constituency and the municipality at the same time?
Correct. Yes.
Good. You said road is a different discussion, but I think road is the same because on Monday we discussed roads, and the two most traffic-prone areas in Accra is the 25 and the 22 roads. When you are going outside Accra to Aplau, 25 traffic will catch you. When you are going to Akosombo, 22 traffic will catch you. And incidentally, both areas are under Ponkatamanso. And indeed, on my way back from Akosombo, I had to turn at MFs to now appear at 25 near the Power Enclave, which was incidentally the same constituency. Why do you suppose the road network is so bad? Is it that the lobbying power of the MP is not that strong? Is it that the place is so wide? Why are the roads so bad?
That's the reason why I said the spatial planning has not matched the area, the spatial development, because these are the only two areas demarcated and left for roads. Otherwise, there should be other arterial roads, which will become more like an escape for people who are getting into this traffic. But if you are going, look, all the area from how do you call it, from Bechili, if you are going to join the road at Oyebi, there's only one way. You come all the way on the Afenia road after the barrier. Then you turn towards Matayeku through Apollonia, which is very long. And so there are no escape routes. And the planning didn't take care of such roads to take the traffic off the main road.
Let's talk about land in a way. This morning we're discussing the shooting of a soldier at the Kasoa area. And there appears to be a lot of land litigation in that part of town as well. What insight can you share about why land problems are becoming so pronounced, especially within the outskirts of Accra and parts of the central region? Because those seem to be where people are moving now, and particularly in Kasoa, we hear a lot of issues around land. Do you have any insights or understanding to why those places have become notorious for land litigation?
I cannot speak very much about the Kasoa area, the Accra West area. But the Accra East area, one of the biggest problems is the chieftaincy problems within the townships. One particular area in the Ponkatamanso area now is the chieftaincy problem in Pram Pram, which has encroached very much into the area of Po. Now, if you look at the special land boundaries which you find down there today, the people of Pram Pram have moved into a certain area, accusing the people of Po to also have encroached into their area. So that boundary thing has not been solved very well, and therefore you go buy land. Me personally, I have a land under TDC. People from Pram Pram came, they say it's within their jurisdiction. But no, for the reason that I have registered it fully, they would have come in. And even that one, I always have to deal with the police on them. And therefore, the chieftaincy thing is the biggest of the problems. Because somebody in the family sells the land to you, and the other person comes and says, oh, this one, the one who sold the land to you is not the rightful person, but I am. A place like Po, the land is not under families. The land in Po under the traditional council. So it's the traditional council that allocates the land. So if traditional council gives me a land, they have files on me. If I decide to transfer the land to another person, I go back to them and tell them that, look, the land which you have given me, I am giving it out to Bernard. Then they change the records over there. some places where the land is under families, then somebody in the family, the Bernard's firstborn goes sell the land, then the second-born comes and says, the land is not for him alone, I'm also coming in. So these are some of the causes of the problems
will the Kpone model, where the traditional councils own the land, be the way to go when it comes to, say, Greater Accra lands? Is it something that, because I think Ghana needs a big conversation about land tenure, and because it's hampering development severely. Do you think the Kpone model is replicable in other parts of Accra? Is that something that they will agree if we said the traditional council rather than the individual chiefs and families who own the land?
Unfortunately, lands already have their owners. The Kpone model has worked because from time immemorial, the land has been under the traditional council. But where you go to places, in fact, going forward, it is rather going in a time now where if I, David Adam, have a land, a passport, and it belongs to my children will come one day and say, this is our family land. Then my firstborn goes sell a portion, another person, the second-born comes and says, no. The one who sold the land to you is not the only owner. We are all owners. Then I'm also coming for my share. So it cannot work now. But what I believe can work is where something that was tried in 1952, where government acquired the land and the government holds it. Okay, and so it becomes nationalized. If you need land, you go to government. However, that model is also bastardized now because political, apparatchiks go and share the land to themselves without considering those who actually want the land. Okay, so now we must sit and have a clear policy. In fact, something that was started under the land administration project can be studied further and then rather utilized, rather than consider, because the Kpone model is working now because the land from time immemorial have been under the traditional council. It's not an arrangement that was come to lately, but it's something which has been there. The land acquisition has been under the traditional council all over the years.
Hopefully, if there's a conference like this convened, your insights will be useful. Thank you for talking to us, David Annan, who's a former MCE for Tema, which at the time included Ashaiman, Tema West, Bonkatamanso, and other areas. Yeah. Really good insights there around the Kpone area. One of the things he said that really helped me in the analysis is the fact that population growth is also tied to litigation-free land.
Yeah, and that is true. Yeah. Because when you speak to someone like Professor Martin or Tinga Bebio, for example, he will tell you the phenomenon of leapfrogging, where institutions like, say, the BNI, banks, nurses, teachers, police, they acquire large or huge tracts of land. So this is one of the things that helped in opening up Kasoa. And
then they sell it to their members. So then they move there.
Exactly. And because they earn regular income, then they're able to pay
collectively.
And that happens very quickly and it opens up the space. So
because the leapfrogging.
Leapfrogging, yes.
Instead of an individual saving money to buy his own land, they buy it in groups.
Precisely.
Okay.
So he tells you, for example, that if you're going from Adenta towards the other end, you see a lot of buildings that are completed until it gets to a point where you see a few uncompleted buildings because individuals are not able to complete them.
So when they buy the land as a group, building is also easier.
Fantastic.
Okay.
And then when individuals are just doing it and is scattered and haphazard, when I'm unable to finish it, then the uncompleted building I have in the midst of all the completed buildings becomes a hideout for criminals. So uncompleted buildings become hideouts for criminals.
Okay.
So whilst population is increasing and people are buying the land, in the event there is no chieftaincy issue, as Mr. David Annan has made us understand, then people are able to, then there is growth. People are able to buy large tracts and finish the buildings in that respect. But when there is chieftaincy issues, obviously it will affect the growth. But on top of that too, when you have situations where individuals on top of that are not able to complete their buildings on time, then they become hideouts for criminals. So people are hiding in these buildings, and it becomes.
What did he say about the population expansion of Accra and relationship to markets? Because You know, you thought Kasoa was the biggest.
I thought Kasoa was the biggest.
And to be fair, it is the biggest because if you add Ga South to Ga West to even Ga North, because you know Ga North was carved out of Ga West. So that was about 500,000. If you add that to Ga South, that's 800,000. If you add that to Ewutu Senya East, which is 230,000, and you add that to Gomwa East, which is 300K, that's about 1.5 million. So in a sense, that area is big. All right. Of course, if you take Madina, Adenta, Ashaiman, Katamanso together, that's also pretty big.
Yeah.
All right. So what is accounting for the population growth in those areas?
Bernard, you know, the former MCU we spoke to mentioned the fact that roads didn't catch up with the developments there. And Prof tells me that the Takrady Road also opened up this end of things. So when the road is done, then people are able to move there and things happen. So I spoke to another man who sells lands.
In that area?
Alaji, yes, in that area. And he tells me that between 2013 to 2014, Tuba, Nyanyano, Kokrobite, this end is closer to us, not Kasoa though. Land was going for 3,000, 4,000.
Quite cheap. So people were buying a lot.
Cheap, so people were buying. Now it's shot up to 40,000, 50,000 and all those kinds of things.
Let me call a listener. So this morning, Reverend Abraham Ni Aduokai sent me a message which I really liked. So I want him to just explain the difference between Ga West and Ga North to me, and also why the population there is growing so fast. What are the key communities there? What's the state of infrastructure? So this is one of our listeners who sent me a message. So I just called him up. So he's not a public official. Reverend, thank you for talking to us. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir Bernard. How are you?
I'm fine. I loved your message. How long have you been living in the Amasaman area?
Please, I was born and bred. I was born in Akramaman, and I grew up in Ufanko. I attended St. John's Grammar School. I'm not staying at Kutusi.
Wow.
I'm a President Minister. My church is at Beguma Presby, just by the cemetery, the roadside.
Wow.
I've been out of Accra, but that's where I've lived all my life.
So Amasaman is the capital of Ga West, am I correct?
Ga West, yes. And Bernard, for your education, you know, Accra used to have only 3 metropolis. That is the Amba, that is the former Accra metropolitan area, then Tema and Amasaman. So all the districts that have been created, that is the Madina area. Madina used to be under Ga West. It used to be Ga District Assembly. So the Ga East, the Ga West, the Ga North, the Central, the South, all of them were created from the original Ga District Assembly, which was Amasaman.
Oh, so there was Ga, there was Tema, and then there was Accra.
It was 3. It was the Ama, Tema, and then Ga. It was a Ga first. Before this.
And the Ga was capital in Amasaman?
Yes, Amasaman has been the capital of the Ga.
You know, wow.
Before Ga East, before Ga South, before Ga Central, Ga North, and all those that we are seeing.
You know, I'll tell you something. When I was in Madina, in those days, when you have to go and do something official, you have to go to Amasaman to do it.
Yes. And then all the people living around Madina and Atraco area, and all. In fact, the Ga shared boundary with Tema and Accra Metropolitan Assembly in those days, before they created all this. So Amasaman has been built about more than 6 or 7 districts.
So Amasaman then became, they started splitting it up, the areas. Now, when you say Ga West, what are we talking about? Can you name some of the places in Ga West?
Okay, thank you. Ga West is headquartered at Amasaman. Now, when you go to the left side of the Saman Road, where now they have the stadium, where they call Amasaman Stadium, that left side is part of the Ga West now. But the other side where you have the stadium itself comprises Pukwasi and all those places now Ga North, which is headed at Amamole.
Okay.
So now, and St. John's used to be under Amasaman, but now it's under Ga North. Ga Central is Swotum. And Ga North is supposed to be Ufanko. There's no place for development at Ufanko. Just as the man was just saying that there's no place for development at Shama. Ufanko has occupied everywhere. So now the headquarters is at Amamole. Even though Ufanko is supposed to be the head.
And where is this Amamole place?
Amamole is the overhead, where you have the focus overhead, right side, going to Ablekuma.
Oh, okay, that's Amamole.
Yeah, it's also behind Asofan. You can pass Ufanko to Amamole. It's also behind Asofan.
I see.
Yes, so when you take the Amasaman, I was telling you to the villages. We have Kutugu, is also Amasaman Ga West. Then, so if you from Kutugu, there is Kwashikumama. Then, if you want to go to like I said, you go to Amazon, go to Abiyansi. When after Abiyansi, there's a 3 junction there. The left side will take you to Abrikuma, main road. But if you take the right side, it will take you to Akiama, then Dubrugono, then Kwashikumama, then Onyansana. Then at Onyansana, there's a right turn that will take you to Obom. But if you take the left, it will take you to Yahoma. Then you go to Okushibiade, where last time you said you were there for a program, and I was so happy.
Yes.
Then for Okushibiade, you go to Akramama. That's where I come from. That's where I was born. Then Akramama, we have a secondary school there, one of the E blocks. Then you go to Aikando Blue. Then from Aikando Blue, you can either go to Ashalaja and connect to Kasoa, or you go straight to Obeyeye. And when you get to Obeyeye too, if you turn right, you are going to Insakina. Then Oshuman, then Oduman, then Mahia. All those are also there. Then
you know what's funny? Many years ago, I went to Richard Sky to a bridge that had broken down at Ashalaja. And that bridge was supposed to connect people in that area to Kasoa.
Yes.
So some people lived in Kasoa, were working in Amasam, and they used that bridge to go to work. Now
that kind of blue lane to Ashalaja has become a transit for most of the people who come from Obom and then Kasoa. If there's a traffic there where they want to connect to Amasam and Accra, they pass that particular place.
What is the state of roads in the areas you've mentioned? These towns, how are the roads there?
Bernard, the road from Amasaman to 3 Junction was started, and it was started to Aikando Blue. But now it wasn't even started. It is better. It was better when it was not tied than now, because whatever they put on it was the first coat or something. So there is all those enclaves that are mentioned from Achiama to Akramama to Aikando around up to the 3 Junction. There is no road that is started. So you can talk about areas. The areas that are tied is from the 3 Junction going to left side to Abrikuma. That one is started. It's nice. But Oshuman, Oduman, Amobole, Mahia, all Akramama, Aikando Blue, all those places are untied. And Bernard, you can also pass from Onyansana. From Onyansana, you can also go back to Kwashikumama and connect to Kutoku, which is also one of the fastest growing areas in our area now. So you can pass Kwashikumama to Kutoku to join the media in Saman Road at that particular junction, and then you can come back to Accra. And none of them is start.
The population of Ghana West is 314,000. It's large. In fact,
very large.
apart from Ponkatamanso, which has 413, and Gas Central, which has 332, and Gas South, which has 350, Ghana West has a large population. Where are the people migrating from? Do you know? Where are they coming from?
You can also check for me. The last election, Ghana West was the 3rd highest electoral constituency. You can check for me. Ashama was first, followed by Domi Kwabina, then Ghana West. You can check for me. That is Amasama. You can check for me. But I learned it is the 3rd largest voting population now. But that area too, we don't have so many land guard issues there. And I can tell you that Akrama, which is a bit far from Amasama, is one of the fastest growing areas now. So Akrama, Aikando Blue, that enclave, Okushibiade, where you went to, all that places, there are estates that are moving there, individuals, and there are government entities that have bought land for their members. So I know NAT have a land there for their teachers, and other banks also have land there for their teachers. So people are really, really moving there. Because of the serious area to where we don't have a lot of this land guard issue that is happening. In fact, a lot of people are moving to that place. So it is a developing area. It's growing so fast. Going so fast.
So the just to be clear, Ghana West is Amasaman constituency.
Yes, Ghana West Amasaman constituency. Yes.
So does it include Kuntunse? Because Kuntunse is across the road.
Kuntunse is across the road, but they vote on Amasaman.
Is Media part of Ghana West?
Media, yes, Media, and then there's another Dublu on that road. That one is Ankwan Dublu. Where I mentioned first was Aikan Dublu. So there's another Dublu on that road, going to where you have this food drink, Blue Sky.
Blue Skies.
All those places, including Kutoku and Media, Kitwa, they are all part of Ghana West.
Is Akotoshi also part of that place?
Akotoshi, yes, Akotoshi on the Kutoku. So from Media, you go to Akotoshi before you get to Kutoku.
And all of you...
Then you have Pampanso, you have Papasi, they are all there.
So do you know who your MC is? Who is the MC for that?
Nilante Wilkinson.
Clement Wilkinson.
When my elder brother used to be the former presiding member, so I was working with him, and so I know a lot of the things about the area. And if you call him, he will blow your mind. He has the map on his hand.
But you've done well. By yourself, you're a Reverend Minister of the Presbyterian Church.
Yes, Presbyterian Church, yes.
So the Presbyterian Church owns lands in that area too?
In fact, Presbyterian Church has a big land at Kutunse, which we want to develop what the Pentecost board done at Gomwa you were talking about. We want to develop some there, and I think this year they are going to start. And we have a lot of our churches also around that area. But my local is at Ablekuma.
Ablekuma. Is Ablekuma Gan West or Gan Central?
Ablekuma. Part of it is Gan Central, which is Anyasotum, and then part of it is Ganov, which is Amamoli.
Wow.
Ablekuma is not big. You have Olebu there, you have Ablekuma, you have Vikulis, you have Boko, you have Abasi, you have Agape, all of those are there.
One day I'll come and visit you at your local.
I will be happy. I even want to invite you to come and talk to my youth for me. Bernard, let me land on this. God bless you and Citi TV. Last year I was at your family prayer meeting at Circle. And in fact, I really enjoyed it. But this year I organized some for myself. Next, I want to join you again. God bless you. I've been listening to you. The whole family is glued to your TV. When I tested the message, I was with my wife and children in the car, and they were so happy that you read it and mentioned my name. God bless you.
Thank you,
and
Reverend.
You are doing.
Yeah.
God bless you. I mean, God bless you.
Reverend,
we really, really like you.
We are grateful for your time and your listenership. Thank you, Reverend Abraham Ni Adu Okai. This is Gan West 101. Gan West 101. Nathan, you see the link again. He says the lands were relatively litigation free, and therefore people moved there. So there's a relationship between population, movement, and litigation free land.
Yes.
And but the roads. You see, we are back to the issue of land ownership and land management. All right, the owners sell the land, people build houses because there's no litigation. But somehow the development doesn't.
Yeah, the points are so the development, they didn't hold hands and walk together. So it's almost like people moved and now the development has to
catching up.
Has to.
But you know, are you surprised that Gas Central is the second largest? If you just take raw population.
No, not at all.
Actually, Gas South before Gas Central. So in Greater Accra,
Gas South is 350,000.
Yeah,
right?
so Greater Accra, Bunkatamas is 417, Gas South is 350, Gas Central 333.
For Gas Central, I'm not surprised.
And then Gas West 314.
If you drive through, I always say that if you drive through or you drive from the Kwashiman traffic light through Santa Maria last stop through to Soto, right?
Yeah.
So when you start to go through Soto, you in your mind, Soto ends at last stop. Okay, technically it does, but you find a lot of people living further down.
There's a place called Farm Milk.
So that's on this other end. That's towards Ablekuma side.
I had a friend called Sivanoscumi. When Legon says he's moved to Farm Milk. And this is 2004 matter.
Long ago.
But those look in 2000 and let's say 2007, 8. Bernard, if you went to the general area of Pentecost University, you'd be shocked. There were no tarred roads.
It was just
bush, red sand.
And then they woke up one day,
and then boom, people had moved. Then the road came to. So I'm not surprised that Gas Central has a lot of people,
so
and
Gas
it spreads all across.
332.
And you can drive through that end and get to Ofanko.
Yes,
and then connects to
Ofanko. Yes, that road. And then he also said that Gas West also connects to Gas South via the Ayikaindo Blow, Ashalaja. I went there with Sky and Salmon Sunday, Charlie. Hey, it was bad. And some bridge had broken down and people couldn't get to work. So people had to drive from Kasoa, come to Achimota and connect to Amasama.
Isn't this when you were wearing some...
Yes.
I watched that video. I think I was in level 300
that
or
was
400.
2013, 2014-ish.
I was in 200. I watched that video online.
I was with Sky. It was a day we went
I remember.
to Ashalaja. The bridge had broken down. And
there were some school children.
And at that time, the place was sparsely populated. But now the place is all over.
So Bernard, where is the ideal place where people are moving that one can say, people are buying lands and building that you can say, okay, the roads are generally okay and land litigation is generally low? I'm listening from abroad and I want to come
have those elements
put together.
No.
Maybe Dodowa.
Okay.
Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe. And by the way, even when you say Dodowa, it includes Oyibiu.
Charlie.
Dodowa includes Oyibiu. But the point is that Punkatamaso is interesting.
Yeah.
Fred, somebody else wants to contribute. If you can come and take the number. So today, my listeners are helping me with the show.
In fact, Dodowa came up in my conversation with Prof, right?
Fred.
So I was thinking that the Kasoa market was one of the reasons why that area was opening really fast, but Laji Ben thought otherwise. He thought that the growth of Kasoa was more organic and people just moved there and it really opened up after 1994.
But land was much cheaper.
Yes, much cheaper. But he thought the Kasoa market was the reason why the place really opened up. But Prof tends to agree with me that the cost of land is reason why a lot of people moved to Kasoa, and then the Takrady Road opened up the place. Because if you're looking at the market conversation for Kasoa, Dodowa has opened really big, but Dodowa doesn't have a massive market like Kasoa.
I will say that Dodowa and those places, the Medina market. So I think the three biggest markets in Accra, Medina, Makola, and Kasoa.
Yes.
Now Medina is Ashaiman. Medina is Adenta. Medina is Dodowa. Medina, yes, all of those people. Medina market is now like the
Mecca for them.
So there's Medina Central Market related, and which is back to the whole development point, right? So a this assembly and markets are one of the big things that you use in your anchors for development, revenue generation, people's this is where all the food and the things come together.
That's right.
All right. So you have AMA, which is reducing in size, Medina, and then Kasoa. And Kasoa has central region also part. Maybe we have to redemarcate the region. Now I need to also point out that there was a massive National Land Conference. So funny thing, I think I'm calling for actually happened in 2022.
I think they came up with the lab.
No, there was a Lands Conference in 2022.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't hear much about this. I don't know why I didn't take part. So it was called a National Land Policy
Lab
Conference. So let me read something. The first National Land Policy formulation process in Ghana started with the submission of the final report of the Land Reform Commission to the government in March 1994, leading to the start of work on proposals for the reform of land law. Between 1994 and 1997, the final report was subjected to a series of reviews and wider stakeholder consultation to identify policy options for consideration by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. A draft policy document was discussed at a National Land Policy Workshop in April 1997. The final draft policy document was presented to Cabinet in December 1997 for consideration and approval. Final approval by government was received in January 1999.
Right.
All right, let me read more. Where am I? 1999.
Yeah.
Good. Now it says the final policy was presented in 1999. The final document was launched in 1999 June and remains the national land policy until now.
Okay.
Following the launch of the policy, the only national level policy dialogue on land was there was a national land forum held in November 2007.
Okay.
Since then, there has not been any national platform to discuss the challenges confronting the sector and to mobilize consensus on how to tackle them. The National Land Policy 1999 identifies several land administrative challenges, the resolution of which are considered fundamental to realizing an efficient and effective land tenure regime in Ghana. The challenges include weak land administration and management systems, multiple land sales, compulsory acquisition by government of large tracts of land, unutilized and compensation unpaid, land market indiscipline, unauthorized occupation and use of state lands by encroachers, everything is here, haphazard spatial development, lack of adequate functional and coordinated geographic information systems and networks, indeterminate boundaries of customary land-owned lands, lack of modern and up-to-date maps and plans, and use of unapproved development schemes. Guided by sector analysis contained in the Land Policy 1999, successive governments have sought through numerous initiatives to improve Ghana's land administration regime. The major interventions in land administration have been through the Land Administrative Project LAP, phases 1 and 2, which sought to lay the foundation and consolidate rural and urban land administration and management systems for efficient and transparent land service delivery. In addition to the state efforts, several independent programs aimed at contributing to addressing the challenges in Ghana's land sector have been implemented by non-state actors. These have produced some results that have contributed to improvements in the land sector. Examples include projects implemented by several NGOs such as Solidaridad, GIZ, USAID, Rights and Resources Initiative, Colandef, as well as some private sector actors. These include a collaboration with the stakeholders in the development of a handbook of customary land rights documentation, piloting of customary land rights documentation, organization of an African regional consultative workshop on securing land tenure in Africa, analysis of land access and tenure security for the several agricultural value chains, development of guidelines for responsible land-based investment for private sector, community and public sector analysis actors, analysis of social inclusion, dimensions of large-scale land acquisition, among others. Now, here's the catch. Despite the efforts by governments and contribution from non-state actors, there is worsening land tenure risks for urban, peri-urban, and rural land users, fueled on the one hand by the rapid population growth and urbanization, increasing demand for land for all human activity, and on the other hand by weak institutions. The management of other natural resources, including timber, minerals, and water, add to the challenges of securing land rights for sustainable socio-economic development. These experiences indicate the urgent need for a more inclusive, strategic, and sustained multi-stakeholder approach to improve the governance of land and other natural resources in the country and restore many of the degraded lands. Dialogue spaces among national and local government, industry players, customary landowners and actors, academia, civil society organizations, investors, and the general public are needed to achieve sustainable land sector transformation and socio-economic development. So this is a summary of why the 2022 Land Conference is done. So now let me conclude. Thus, the National Land Conference 2022 is designed to build on all these efforts in the land sector by both state and non-state actors and institutionalize a structured arrangement for multi-stakeholder participation in the transformation of the land sector. The theme for the National Land Conference was leveraging national land policy, legislation, and institutional capacity towards sustainable socio-economic development. The objective is connected to 6 of the SDGs that are bearing on the land sector. I don't have time for this. Now let me go on. Guided by the 92 Constitution of Ghana, the Land Act 2020, Act 10636, the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016, Act 925, experiences and international best practice, the conference will create a platform to discuss policy options, experiences, present new research and scalable innovation, foster high-level support and ownership of the interventions to tackle land governance, and to empower the development of and develop the capacities of the other stakeholders. It has 4 objectives. All right. Let me read it since we are on the point. 4 objectives. Provide a multi-stakeholder platform for policy dialogue on land issues and challenges and propose recommendations to address them. 2. Provide opportunity for discussion and adaptation of innovative approaches and enabling technologies for improving land governance and land administration. 3. Increase public awareness and potential benefits of the Land Act, which is the Act 1036 and the Spatial Planning Act 925. And 4. Establish a multi-stakeholder platform to monitor the implementation of the recommendation of the conference and generally promote good land governance and administration. So those are the 4 objectives. It has 5 expected outcomes. I'm reading this because I'm sitting here wondering whether these objectives have been met. 1. Awareness of conference participants raised on the Land Act and the Spatial Planning Act. 2. A multi-stakeholder platform established to monitor the implementation of the conference recommendations. I don't know if there's anything like this. 3. A communique issued at the end of the conference articulating the main recommendations. 4. Broad modalities for the implementation of the Land Act and the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act. 5. Conference proceedings report that details the main recommendations. I think we should find the proceedings report and the recommendations and read to the public, because I am here on air. I've never, at least not I've never, I heard of the conference, but I don't think there was any.
So the main discrepancy here is the the schism between land ownership and land management, as you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, from the lab 2, the summary of when I reflect on all that you've read, the summary here is that we need to get data on all our lands. It must be properly documented. Things must be properly registered, so that with the available ones that have not yet been developed, with the data that we have, we find ways to plan them ahead of their development. Because we've seen that wherever else, all the built spaces we have now, development has gone ahead of planning, and so that road networks are not the best, utility lines are not in place, so people are building ahead of the development. So if you have the lab, which you have read, then the whole thing is we need to plan them well, so that with the new communities that will come up, everything will be in place properly.
I really look forward to reading the conference report, because I feel like sometimes we don't put these things on air and we don't discuss them, right? So maybe if we can get more information from the conference organizers on what they discussed, because the reason I'm talking about all of this is that a soldier has been killed. People are attacked regularly when it comes to land issues in Ghana. And we've had a major conference in 2022 on land.
I have the communique.
Great.
9th December 2022.
I'll be happy for us to read it after this short break. For all those listening who've been sending messages, thank you for sending those messages. Bernard, Kunkatamanso constituency is now the most populous constituency in Ghana, with an estimated over 600,000. Hey, bro. It's 400,000. With a relatively low population density and bigger land size, being cosmopolitan constituency, we're also surrounded by well-populated constituencies. Okay, so this is from
William
Ofosu
and Asante.
Wonderful.
I think he's the MPP parliamentary candidate for Kunkatamanso.
All right. Here's more information. Reference to the discussion on Kunkatamanso land management. With land management at Kpone, what was done is that the traditional council took steps to register vast portions of their land. The Kunkatamanso Traditional Council bears a land title certificate on those lands, thus getting the state guaranteed of their ownership. Other traditional councils should be advised to register their land before disposing of them. The Land Act 2020 indeed makes it obligatory for all allodial owners to register their land before disposition. This is from a land economist. And then it says the National Land Conference was in 2022. A multi-stakeholder platform was formed after that to spearhead a communique from the conference. All right. Caleb has a communique. We will read it. We'll read it after the text messages come in. The communique is basically where we are with the conference and what they agreed to do. Nathan, read a few comments for me on the WhatsApp chat box.
All right. Lankwantana Madina is the fastest developing municipality from 2010 till date. This one says during the period, property numbers, prices, and population have all increased astronomically. Consider the development of residential property development and businesses in Madina, parts of Botre, Sakora, Powerland, Adogba, Abokobi, Odashoma, Oyarifa, Pantan, Tema, Ayimensa, Damfa, and others. Bernard, it's huge.
Yeah, that's Raphael.
Raphael said that. This one says, during the 2020 voters registration exercise, UCC campus in Santor had 2 constituencies being registered at the same place. They were separated by a cordoning tape. So voters simply joined the constituency with a fast-flowing queue. This one says, I've lived in Accra since 97. I've never heard of the places. I've never heard of many of the places the Reverend is mentioning. What?
Yeah.
But I didn't know Ghana West ends at Hebron, Dobro, and Blue Skies are under Nsawam Aduaji.
Okay.
This one says the road from 3 Junction through Kwashikuma to Kojo Ashon is so bad to the extent that it takes you an hour when driving, but 15 minutes on a bike. Ni, who's residing at Kwashiman, by building a house around Kotoku. This was every Medina is now the center of Accra. Most offices are moving closer to Medina and East Legon.
It's true.
DVLA has moved to the Bosche area. That's true. There's also a police installation there. Now, that road needs to be expanded to make room for all that traffic.
It's true.
This one says, let's talk about Gan West. It encompasses all the lovely villages that line the road from Amasaman to Nsawam. We are talking about places like Amasaman itself, Pobiman, Kuntunsi satellite, Media, all the way up to Hebron.
Charlie.
Now, when it comes to the Nsawam constituency, we are looking at starting from Dobro, right around the area where the Blue Sky Company is located.
So
that in the UK is giving us inside filler.
Couple of quick announcements. We have an interview coming up with the EU. Azuma Nelson is returning to the ring.
Come on.
To face the EU ambassador.
Go finish, Amu.
Who, by the way, is a boxing fan.
Oh, you.
Rachad, what's his name?
Shad Razali.
Yes, it's going to be a really, really good fight. And I think it's not even the fight. It's what they are trying to promote. Youth, education.
Nice.
You know.
I like it.
Kids must go to school.
Yeah.
All of those nice things.
Exciting.
So Azuma is coming out of retirement.
Yeah, man.
And he's going to send Richard Razali into retirement. So Azuma is coming out of retirement to send the EU ambassador into retirement.
It's a knockout game.
Oh yes. If you know a lot about some of these communities, send us comments. We are happy to learn more. And please, if you don't live in Accra, I'll spend time talking about other places too. Central region is also an interesting point, where the Central Regional Capital Cape Coast has less than 200,000 people.
But Kasoa,
no, Ewutu Senya East and West, Gomwa East is massive. You know, very soon Winneba will join.
Yeah, because they're actually dualizing the road from Kasoa to Winneba. Yeah. So that will make
East,
that whole bulk.
West, Gomwa East, Gomwa West, and then you have Agona East, Agona West, and then you have a Futu. So that's the line.
Wow.
So one day Winneba and Kasoa will be the same place. Maybe in 20 years. So it's like you'll be driving from Kasoa to Cape Coast, and on the road to Winneba is all houses. You know,
Bernard, and doesn't this call for some proper public housing also? Because now it looks like owning a house is not just a survival thing; it's also a status thing.
And the other point I need to make is, you know, I listened to the guys who built the Apiate building.
Yeah,
they built 124 buildings. They managed to get the cost down, and I was asking them whether they couldn't use that for social housing. And they said, well, they had to squeeze the architects. It's like it was a one-off project because of the disaster, and therefore, if you're building houses for people, it can't be that cheap. But I disagree.
But we really need to have.
If you can build 124 houses, and the whole town, okay, the houses together cost about the equivalent of $5 million at the time, and that $5 million was around 11 to the dollar. So maybe if you multiply that by 10. At the time, I don't know what the figure is, but it was really cheap, right? I think I have the numbers here. Give me a second. I'll pull this out for you. I feel like we should have a more coordinated approach to social housing using the Apiate development, right? So they built 41 one-bedroom houses, 31 two-bedroom houses, 23 three-bedroom houses, 15 three-bedroom houses, 15 four-bedroom houses, 12 five-bedroom houses, and a couple of six-bedrooms. Right, and then 224 houses at the cost of 49 million cedis. So about 50 million cedis. And these houses include a large house which includes a six-bedroom house and one which is just big house for different people.
Wow.
Of course, this doesn't include roads, water, schools. But today the president is launching it.
Yeah.
I feel like you should be able to have such a thing in every town.
Because if every household, every family must build their own house, it will lead to the chaos we are seeing. Because like we said, if you're looking at the land ownership thing and land management discrepancy, if I own the land, I decide what to do with it. And most of the times, people don't build according to the plan that those who are responsible for the land management have to. So someone has built a piggery and there is a school there,
Sorry?
There's a hospital next to it. Someone wants to use his land to do a public toilet.
Everything.
It is his land.
So land administration, spatial planning, land management, all linked together. All right, so what did the land conference conclude? What was the communique?
Bernard, there are a number of points here. I'll start with the first. Improving security of land tenure. They want to improve security of land tenure. Number 2, improve survey, mapping, spatial planning and development. That's point number 2. There are a number of sub-points there. I'll just deal with the main points and do the sub-points later. They want to also focus on biennial national land conference to be reviewing the things they talk about. And human settlements development. Let me just do point 1 and 2. Promote an enabling environment for the private sector to play its role in housing delivery to persons of all income categories with relative ease. Undertake comprehensive upgrading of informal settlements to improve the quality of housing for the poor. 5, restoration of lands degraded through illegal mining. 6 is capacity development. 7 is land-related SDGs. 8 is support of development partners. Number 9, review of National Land Policy 1999. That is, provide resources to review the 1999 National Land Policy and formulate a new one that takes on board the new challenges and emerging issues of the sector and in conformity with international standards and instruments, including voluntary guidelines on the responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries and forests in the context of National Food Security VGGT and the framework and guidelines on land policies in Africa. Targeted engagement with traditional authorities. This is page number 5. Metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies should have targeted engagement with chieftaincy institutions, heads of land-owning clans, heads of land-owning families, Tendana and other customary authorities in all matters related to land governance, land management and land administration reforms, spatial planning and human settlement development in the country. Number 11 is support for the operationalization of multi-sector, multi-stakeholder platforms. So we further call on both the public and customary land sectors to take steps to promote good land governance and ensure greater transparency and accountability in their dealings in land. The land sector professionals and other stakeholders to establish more civil society organizations with clear focus on land performance KPIs designed to improve security of tenure and orderly development of human settlements, and also further call on Ghanaians for a change of mindset at all levels, including leadership positions, as a fundamental shift in the approach to land governance in accordance with the land laws of the country and international institutions. So I can give you a few breakdowns here. For example, number 1, where it talks about the land tenure security, improving security of land tenure. Point number 1, it says prioritize the systematic surveying and mapping of customary and state land boundaries and the boundaries of metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies to reduce the numerous land ownership disputes in the country, to set out comprehensive program for the registration of title to land as mandated by the 1992 Constitution and the Land Act 2020 Act 1036. Now, point number 2 is support efforts of all key stakeholders to raise awareness of the citizenry on Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 2016, Act 925, and Land Act 2020, Act 1036. Now, facilitate prompt action towards the development of regulations of Land Act and a Land Act implementation strategy, and then provide adequate resources for the implementation and enforcement of land laws, land use planning laws, and spatial development laws, and then complete the digitalization of the land administration system over a 3-year period.
You need to print this thing for me one by one.
Okay.
And we don't need to rush through it because what you're saying are very important things that we have to track. Now, the conference ended December 2022.
Yes.
So we have had a year and a half since this was done.
That's right.
So one work a journalist can do is to say, following the completion of the land conference and the following points made, what has been done?
Exactly.
All right. So it's good to let us know what's been done, what's been said, but also need to know what's been done.
Because they say, for example, that in a period of 3 years, they will complete digitalization of land administration system.
Hopefully, they should have done that by now.